Welcome to the Recruitment People Podcast, the place where employers and candidates unite to uncover the art of successful recruitment. Hi, I'm Kelly Charity, a recruiter and agency owner with over 2 decades of recruitment experience. In this podcast series, I'm going to dive deep into the heart of hiring and job seeking, sharing actionable insights, expert advice, and of course, a little bit of fun along the way. Whether you're looking to sharpen your hiring practices or navigate your career path, we've got you covered. So let's get started and unlock the secrets to recruitment success together. Thank you for joining at the Recruitment People Podcast. Today I'm interviewing Mel from Humanistic HR and Kelly Charity. And today we're going to be talking about the future of employment 2025. So just starting off, I thought I'd ask you a couple of questions, Mel, about your business actually. So maybe you can introduce yourself and tell our viewers who you are.
Thanks, Kelly. So I'm Melissa. I run a small HR consultancy called Humanistic HR. We provide our clients with an outsourced HR team function, so small to medium-sized growing organisations that can't necessarily invest in a full HR team and probably that don't need a full HR team, and we provide support to them as a bolt-on to make sure that their people processes enable the profits that they're seeking to achieve and that their employer compliance is in order. We also really focus on supporting leadership development, making sure that the leaders of every organisation that we support are enabling their people to perform at their best.
Yeah, you've done some good work for my clients actually, so thank you. So brought you on to talk about the future of employment 2025. It's going to be a challenging few years, I think. So what are your thoughts on the future? What do you think are the biggest changes shaping the future of work over the coming maybe 5 to 10 years?
Look, I think we're at a really exciting time in history. There's a lot of conjecture out there at the moment around the involvement of AI being really quite radical, and it's being likened to the Industrial Revolution in terms of the change that it's likely to impact the workforce. So
Absolutely.
I think we're lucky to be alive at this time, and it's certainly going to be very interesting for all of us.
Yeah. Are your clients talking about it at all?
Some are. Most are starting to think about how it can positively impact their organisation and starting to dabble in it. But I think it's something that we're really encouraging employers to start thinking about quite earnestly because, as you know, there's upcoming workforce shortages with population issues and population decline that's projected. So it's something that we do need to think about how we can harness that.
Absolutely. I think population decline's another topic,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
But absolutely it will affect the workforce. I mean, we're currently seeing, we just ran some statistics actually on last week. We run Seek job adverts analysis every month. And we actually had the data going back to 2022. And I ran an analysis, so talking about that AI piece, we actually saw that sectors like accountancy, administration, actually HR, funny enough, were all in decline. The figures we saw were, for example, in administration in 2023, there were 13,354 job adverts out there.
Yeah.
2025 we're on 9,000.
Yeah.
That's a huge drop.
It is a huge drop.
And accountancy was at 8,700. We're now at 6,800. So those areas, I suppose, seem to be the most impacted, where you can automate certain things. Do you agree?
Yeah, look, one thing I'd say is that the information that you share around the data is incredibly rich and helpful for your clients, and I hope that they look at it as I do. I always look forward to seeing your reports come out because you can project from the data that you're seeing what's happening in the market and what might happen in the future. But certainly if I speak to our sector, HR, there's a lot of things that, particularly around employment law, you can step into using AI as a support tool, something that isn't necessarily the only source of truth. It can hallucinate, it can't be relied upon, it must be checked, but it can speed things up. So it's certainly helping our sector to be more productive. I imagine the administrative sector, there's I'm hearing a lot of organisations talk about how it can be helpful in the financial sector as well.
Absolutely.
The legal sector. There's certainly opportunities to be gained I'm sensing, and what I'm hearing at the moment is that it's being used to make people's jobs easier or quicker.
Yeah.
Not necessarily fully replacing whole swathes of the market as yet,
Correct.
but the data seems to be telling a slightly different story.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did some research, and the World Economic Forum actually was talking about whilst there's going to be replacement of jobs, there's going to be creation of jobs too.
Yeah.
So their figures were at like 170 million new jobs projected to emerge by 2030.
Gosh, that's soon, isn't it?
Yeah, 5 years. It's we need to move fast, and 92 million jobs being replaced, which is a net of 78 million jobs still out there. So from a jobs perspective, I think there's still going to be work jobs, of course, but I think they're just going to be completely different types of jobs.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's fascinating, and it is a time for companies and employees who are willing to embrace the change and to step into learning. I think, being a lifelong learner is what's going to set people up for success in this vast change environment that we're in. If people are adapting to it early, they're learning how to use it, they'll evolve into new roles, and organisations are unlikely to switch the lights off for certain roles. They're much more likely to evolve roles, to take activities out of roles that can be replaced by AI. But at the moment, you still need people to instruct AI and to harness the benefits of AI. So whilst it seems to be happening very, very quickly, I think that the shift in people's actual jobs will be at a pace that seems manageable.
Yeah. It's really interesting because they there's talk around the tech side of things. So technical people coming through that are AI experts. No one's an AI expert at this stage because it's new to everybody.
That's right.
So everybody can embrace that change.
That's right.
And there's a huge decline in general technical roles. So you're probably talking about web developers. I'm not a technical recruiter, but I've seen the industry drop from 18,000 jobs in 2022 to like 8,000 now. That's the biggest decline across all sectors. But I think there's potentially now going to be the shift to a different sort of technical. So I think there's going to be a decline. And then there may be, when people get their head around what actually needs to be done in terms of their business and maybe embracing AI, that's when the shift will come, and then different roles are going to emerge.
Of course.
Whether they're called tech roles, I don't really know what it's going to look like, to be honest.
To know.
But yeah.
And I think that's what's so interesting for our children, isn't it? They're embarking on thinking about careers that probably don't even exist yet.
Correct.
And for our clients who are employing and who are doing workforce planning, are grappling with what will fill that workforce gap, that skills gap, that the fact that we've got decline in population. What can AI fill in terms of those skills? And what we're hearing is that AI can't fill yet isn't filling soft skills, and so leadership roles will still be required, although they'll be quite different potentially. So it's a fascinating time.
Yeah, I agree. And in terms of obviously that the soft skills, thinking about qualifications, people are hiring, I actually think there's a change from hiring for qualifications to hiring for skill set. Because if you have a skill in something like AI, there's no qualification yet there. So
Correct.
It doesn't matter what your qualification is. So will there be a change in those areas to accommodate for, we just need this skill, so let's hire for this? And again, maybe that'll lead to more contract type work because you need this skill today, but tomorrow you need something else. So we'll hire you today and you tomorrow. What's your thoughts on that?
Look, yeah, absolutely. I think there's a few things in relation to what you've just said that I think are really interesting, and around the tertiary education sector is currently going through and will need to go through radical overhaul.
Yeah.
I think that people aren't seeing the benefit in terms of return on investment in these very expensive qualifications that aren't really leading to tangible roles in the current market. I also think that people are, organisations are looking at employing people for the skills that they've got right now, because there is some uncertainty around what skills will be required in the future, and also around people's fit. So what do people bring to the culture of an organisation? How are they, what are their behaviour tropes that are actually going to be supportive of that organisation's success? And certainly employees or candidates who are willing and eager to learn and to try new things and to take on things that are different, and to have a job that's evolving in the next 5 years is going to be really critical.
Absolutely. And so where do you think businesses lie in this whole new arena in terms of the hiring? I suppose in my opinion, as being a recruiter, I think there should be a sort of step towards, again, hiring for skills, but also the whole succession planning piece is going to have to be huge, because you could upskill your workforce to get these skills rather than hiring outside of the workforce to get. But I do think employers tend to lack that looking internally. I mean, you're HR, so you know if these happen when you're consulting with your clients, but do hirers actually look internally before they come external? I'm not sure.
Yeah, look, some do and some don't. The smart ones do, and it makes good sense to, if you've got a great team member who is flexible and is an early adopter to new ideas and new ways of thinking and is willing to learn, to evolve their career is a smart move, because you're then retaining a great worker. It's costing you a lot less. They already know your business, and then you're bringing someone else in at a different level in a different role that's supportive. But I think one of the things I'm really keen to be working with, our clients around is really encouraging them to understand what this mythical word workforce planning actually is, the nuts and bolts of it. And I think if there's anything employers take away from this podcast today would be, do some workforce planning this year. This year should be the year where you undertake a skills audit, understand what is in everyone's role, what duties are they currently doing, and what skills are behind those duties, so that you understand what your workforce needs currently. Because then when you start to encourage your employees to make their jobs easier by using AI and figure out what bits can be easily automated through AI, you then understand what skills you're needing to replace, what skills you no longer need in your employee workforce because AI is taking them on. But if you haven't done that audit now, you're not going to know
what you're going to require anyway.
Yeah.
And I think the ability to pivot. I hate the word pivot, because we're going back to the COVID days,
like
which is like, But I do think that because change is happening so fast, that you do need to be able to pivot, and critical thinking skills are going to be crucial for the leaders coming into the organisation, in order to see what's coming, be able to look at find the wood between the trees, and be able to see what do we actually need, as opposed to what's the hype. And we don't really need this. We can park that project. And
absolutely. And I think if organisations are willing to embrace that AI is here and it's here to stay, it's not. I don't think it's a fad. It is an opportunity, and if they can embrace it and create some level of curiosity in their current workforce, everything is going to be quite unique to different organisations. Sectors will have trends that AI evolves and tells us about, but I wouldn't wait to see the trends. I would actually be creating a sense of psychological safety within your team and encouraging them to be curious about what AI can do for your business. And I would be really quickly putting some policies in place around what AI can and can't be used for, particularly around protecting your IP and not putting that out into the public domain. So I think there's a couple of things to put in place so that you've got a safety net for your team and for your business.
Absolutely. And I mean, just talking about this this whole future of work, where do you think the jobs are going to be? I mean, we've talked about AI, we've talked about administration, accounting tasks being perhaps a bit more automated. Do you see a trend in particular jobs that might come through in addition to?
Well, it's a bit like a crystal ball, isn't it?
I know.
What they're saying is that AI can step into the space of knowledge workers. So there's seemingly a level of job safety for people who work in sectors where it's relatively physical, or they're adding a level of value around person-to-person services like personal care attendants and
Yeah.
support workers. It's the office workers that probably stand to benefit the most in terms of AI support and making their jobs easier and less demanding. But I think certainly at the moment, and I'm no tech expert, I work in HR, but but at the moment it's seeming like the ability to make decisions and critical reasoning and sound judgment in the context of the Australian workplace is not a space where AI is ready to be trusted yet. I'm not saying it can't do those things, but certainly you need to be really fact checking, and I would be still relying on leaders to make judgment calls around how you're running your business.
Absolutely.
Being fed with data from AI.
Yeah. I mean, some of just going back to that, what sort of job titles are going to be emerging? There talk around fintech engineers.
Oh, that sounds groovy.
I know. AI machine learning specialists, which, who knows what a specialist is right now. Enviro engineers with all the green, technologies and innovations coming out. And autonomous vehicle specialists seem to be emerging roles.
Yeah.
They're going to be emerging. But just touching on how you finished there about leadership, looking at the aging population and the decline in the population, there's going to be a gap between people coming through to replace existing leaders. How do you think we are going to address those sorts of issues?
Yeah, look, I think there'll be a phase of how that rolls out, which could be along the lines of the market value for certain roles will increase because there'll be a shortage of them, and then hopefully the market will respond by harnessing the workforce that is available. So working out how can we use the baby boomer generation, instead of seeing them as no longer valuable to the workforce, actually seeing them as valuable in different capacities. And I think that the world of work will hopefully change so that, this sort of 5-day, 7-day working week could really radically evolve to look quite different, and roles, instead of being 9 to 5, could be more like the gig economy, but in a different format. The other thing that I think is really important is that leaders are going to need to be thinking about how do they manage a workforce that is not all human. So how are they managing all of the different generations in the workforce? How are they recrafting and redesigning jobs so that they're tapping into an older market, making sure that they're optimally supporting and leading the different generations within the market? And then how are they then harnessing AI as a source of work and output? So I reckon there's never been a more exciting time to be a leader, because you really get to harness, a lot of different skills in that.
Absolutely. And I suppose, I'm looking at the statistics we ran just last week, there is a decline in leadership as well. So I am wondering if there is going to be this switch from, having a leader in the organisation for a long period of time, as opposed to, again, hiring for skills. So therefore, at this moment in time, we're going through a period of change within a business. So therefore, we're going to get somebody in to lead through that change as a change manager. But then once the change has happened, let's get a different sort of leader in now. So again, going back to that gig economy, will that be adopted for management roles?
Potentially.
And senior management roles?
Potentially. I mean, I'd like to see that more of the workforce market, more employers start to consider adopting to the concept of self-organising teams. So working out how do teams actually manage so that everyone in the team leads the team and has, this is a little bit progressive for a lot of different employer marketplaces, but it's happening. It's been happening for nearly a decade in parts of Australia, in sectors within Australia where they actually really embrace changing the power construct in an organisation. You still have some people who are accountable at all levels of the organisation, but you define teams, you work out how those teams can be accountable for each other's performance and work together really effectively as a team. So I expect that there'll be quite a shift in what actually is a leader and what does a leader do in the next decade.
Very interesting. That's a podcast we can add to our list, Mel.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, we've covered off a lot of the topics I wanted to talk about.
Great.
But I think maybe we can look at maybe leadership, and the changes in those things, and maybe aging demographic and what can happen around those. Is there anything else you would like to add in terms of our topic today?
No, I love our chats, Kelly.
I
It's
know.
always great talking with you. And this is also speculative, but I think it's an exciting time to be doing what we do, and certainly encourage our clients and employers to step into the change and embrace it.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. From Mel from Humanistic HR and myself from the Recruitment People, we look forward to you joining us again for more conversations.